Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we are learning Nazir, page 61, in which is a new chapter that simply begins regarding the law of Kutim, which is generally referring to a specific group of people that have converted to Judaism, but in this context it's more of a generic term referring to those who are not of the Jewish faith. The question that the Mishnah poses is, if they wish to become a Nazir, does that have any validity? Does it actually work? And on this, the Mishnah tells us no. A non-Jew cannot become a Nazir. There is no such law when it comes to a non-Jew. It's specifically by Jews, men or women. The law is the same, that they could become a Nazir, but not a non-Jew. And the only way that we were able to derive this is because the verse specifically says, with regard to the laws of being a Nazir, it says, Daber el b'nei Israel, speak to the Jewish people about this particular law. And therefore we make an inference to exclude anyone who is not among the B'nai Israel, namely those who are not of the Jewish faith. So this is something in which is specific for the Jewish people and not for the non-Jews. On this, Tosfos wonders. He says, I don't understand. There are 613 mitzvos that the Jewish people are commanded to do, and it's specifically to Jews. So why do we even need a verse to exclude non-Jews from the laws of being a Nazir? So in this, Tosfos points out that as this tractate was immediately after Nedarim, there is a very strong link between vows, oaths, which we learned about in Nedarim, and these laws of making yourself into a Nazir. And in fact, Tosfos reminds us that if a non-Jew wishes to make a vow to bring offerings to the temple, to the Beis HaMikdash, it is acceptable, and they will be able to bring sacrifices to the temple. And therefore, because of that, one would maybe think that since they are able to make vows and make these types of oaths to be able to bring these offerings, so too maybe there's also a law of being a Nazir. And therefore, that's the reason why we actually need a verse to tell us no, they are exempt. There's no such law of being a Nazir, but being non-Jewish. But we see what is on some level quite simple, but to me quite profound, that when it comes to the temple, in which is the ultimate service in the Jewish religion, the Jewish center of the world in Jerusalem, the Holy Temple, the Beis HaMikdash, it was not specifically and only for Jews. Even someone who was not of the Jewish faith was able to go and to be able to bring offerings, to bring sacrifices. And the purpose of a sacrifice is not just to bring some animal, but it was an opportunity for a person to be able to come close to God by bringing whatever gifts that they wish to do. And therefore, in Judaism, we do not exclude non-Jews from that opportunity. Just because we have this holy temple, and it's true, only certain people, a Kohen, is allowed to work and go into certain rooms. I myself, as a non-Kohen, am not allowed to go into certain rooms of the temple. It's specific for a Kohen to do certain service. However, the reality is that I'm allowed to have sacrifices brought on my behalf, and also for someone who is not of the Jewish faith. So it's such an important message to understand that Jews really have always composed and comprised of such a small percentage of the world population. And we do not believe as Jews that we are the only people that can serve God. In fact, we see clearly from here that in the times of the temple, anyone that wished to serve God is able to do so.